What's up, guys? This is Jay from COI. So, we finally all got a chance to take a look at the stimulus package. At first glance, it looked okay. Not great, but okay. The lion's share of the bill still helped out the elites, the corporations, the rich. But, 150 billion for hospitals, 350 billion, 377 billion for small businesses, um, the Rona check is what we're all calling it, those kind of things, and of course the most important thing, the 350 billion for expanding unemployment. That all looked really, really good. And again, yeah, about 50% went to help people, the average American, and the other half went to help the corporations. It kind of seemed like a fair divide until we found out that this bill does more than that. And in fact, it offers up a $4 trillion slush fund, so to speak, to major corporations um, in the form of grants and loans. Most of them they don't have to pay back. Look, when you're talking about a company like Boeing, 1/3 of their income has come from the government. So kind of hard for them to pay it back when they're getting so much money anyway. I mean, they're a socialist company. You can't receive a third of your profits from the government and that not be a form of socialism. Um, as most of corporations and the elites are, they all get socialism. We don't. But this bill is the worst bill of our lifetime. This bill will cement the income inequality in this country. And that, by the way, is not my takeaway. That's AOC's, and I 100% agree. She's totally right. But then she voted for the bill. Yeah, there was a lot of people. Marco Rubio, Josh Hawley. They sweat their ass off fighting for the unemployment or the small business effort to give them that 377 billion. They fought to get that into the bill. Bernie Sanders, he did a stunt speech right there on the Senate floor about the unemployment, expanding unemployment, and helping the average American by giving them about $2,400 a month in unemployment benefits. And then they all missed this whole $4 trillion slush fund. And once they found it, it was too late. And I think a lot of them felt like they had to go along with it. They've, you know, they've shooken the hornet's nest long enough. They better get what they got and leave. Now, AOC, I think, is different than the rest of them because AOC saw this bill, had no part in actually shaping it, but she saw that slush fund. She saw that $4 trillion. She saw the fact that it's a $6 trillion bill, not a $2 trillion bill, and that the American people receive very little off of it. And she had that opportunity to make a statement that I think is a fair one about the fact that this is essentially a Sophie's choice in sorts for her because she could either vote with her principles and vote this down, or she could starve out the American people. I think if we would have put this to a vote, she would have had to still vote for the bill. I don't think many people at this point give a shit, but we will. We will really soon. And many progressives and even libertarians and people on the right, they have a huge problem with this bill. But it's not only that bill. The Fed has said that they are going to buy large corporations' debts. But just buy them from them. Hey, don't worry about it, buddy. We got you. They're offering an unlimited amount of cash to the banks because, they're too big to fail. Even though about 12 years ago, oopsie, yeah, these institutions in America can't make it for longer than a decade or so without caving in on themselves because they keep robbing from themselves. and they're hollowed out like a rotten tooth. And here comes the government. Here comes us. Here comes our money. As we continue to work for the shitty companies, making less and less money, and more of our tax money, and our kids and our grandkids' tax money goes to giving it to the rich. It's all it is. What could have been done? Well, there's only one thing that really could have been done, and I hate to say it, but it really could have only came from one person, and it was Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders could have stood up and denied this choice and said, no, this isn't a choice I'm going to make. We are going to separate these bills. One bill is going to be to the stimulus aid, the financial aid for the average American. The other bill will be for corporations. He didn't do it. And I really don't, I hate to um, see the bright side of his disposition, so to speak, or to understand what he's up against, but I do believe that he didn't see it coming and he felt like he fought for what he got. And no matter what he did, what kind of stump speech he gave, what kind of breaks he put on it, they were going to work around him. And he was going to get outvoted and basically be called an asshole. He could have went on every media uh, outlet. He could have screamed from the rooftops. But does it matter? They're not going to listen. Look, people voted 60, 70% in some states for universal health care, yet they voted for Biden. Makes no sense, right? Yeah, I I get, and I think the fear of fears for Bernie Sanders is number one, it's not only him anymore. Now he's Papa, and he knows his political career is dying down, but he has people like AOC and Ro Khanna and Rashida Tlaib and other people who kind of follow in his same footsteps, just on the other side of the table, like Josh Hawley. What would what would that do to hurt them moving forward? Is to say, look what these progressives did. They denied the people when they were hurting, and maybe completely take away the expansion of unemployment that he fought for. So I understand why he didn't, but I really think he should have. And yes, Josh Hawley could have done it. Elizabeth Warren could have done it, but I don't expect them to do it. I expected Bernie to kind of step up, but I can understand why he didn't. So while we're talking about universal health care and our current system, um, there's a story out of New York. A nurse by the name of Caius Kelly. He unfortunately contracted the coronavirus and he passed away. Many of his coworkers are blaming the fact that his rich hospital, Mount Sinai in Manhattan, so yeah, money, uh, had them using trash bags instead of proper PPE. And that's why he contracted it, and that's why it killed him. That if they had the proper PPE, this wouldn't have happened. I would concur with what they're saying because places in like South Korea where the doctors and nurses didn't get coronavirus at all, not one. They used hazmat suits. The doctors at Mount Sinai tried. Well, they didn't have any. They didn't have enough N95 masks. They didn't have 120 masks. They didn't have shit. How is this possible? Explain to me. Number one, as we're looking into the healthcare industry, we find out that treating people doesn't actually pay healthcare hospital bills. Hospitals don't make money curing Bill of cancer, but they make a lot of money putting fake tits on Tina. What the fuck is wrong with our healthcare system? And why does it exist like this? Why is it that the majority of the country wants a universal healthcare system, a single payer system, which, by the way, if this was publicly funded and hence government funded, they would have had a ton of PPE. I bet you the military has a whole shit ton of PPE. And yeah, some of that's cronyism. A lot of it's cronyism. But in this scenario, it would have been good. So, what's so great about this healthcare system? We're the richest country in the world. We, in probably one of the richest areas in the world. Not enough PPE. People are dying. This is another thing that to pull us out of the shit we're in, especially after this last UBI or this last bill, a UBI and universal health care. That's it. Full stop. That's what it's going to take, and that's the only thing that's going to get us whole again. But unfortunately, we have companies like Gilead, and I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Gilead? Whatever. They had received a rare disease status from the Trump administration. Now, this is exactly the problem with our healthcare industry because they're working on a coronavirus drug, one that they think might actually work. So, what was their first course of action? They wanted to make sure that they could restrict anyone from making a generic version of it and that they could have exclusivity rights to it. Because when we're worrying about saving lives, well, let's worry about money first. Doesn't matter if they have to pay an arm and a leg or a lung and a kidney, whatever you want to go with, as long as they get paid. This is one of the first stories coming out like this. There's going to be many more. I've seen Pfizer. I've seen other big pharma companies who are doing this exact same thing. Right now, the reaction is shocked. Oh my God, how could they put profit before people's lives? But really, are you shocked? Because that's the healthcare system that we foster, that we create, that we support. When you vote for Joe Biden, when you vote for Donald Trump, when you vote for any fucking person who doesn't back a single payer system, this is what you not only support, but you celebrate. And until we get to a point where we realize that this is happening every day, we're never gonna get ahead. Until we think about our neighbor who can't afford asthma medication, so they have to wean themselves in between when they can actually buy it in between, and they're dying essentially. People with diabetes, things like that, until it happens to us. Because mark my word, it'll happen to you. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to have insurance. Maybe the government take care of you. But probably not. And then you're going to complain about it. There has to be a point when we take a stand. It doesn't look like 2020 is going to be that time. For our kids' sake, for my elder years' sake, as I'm only in my early 30s right now, our grandkids' sake, I hope it's 2024, 2028. I know it's really early and almost detrimental right now to think about elections, but our current system doesn't work. And nobody who's about to take the reins has a system that will work. The two people who could be our president come 2021 are only going to feed into this. The whole entire fucking show. Not just this with Gilead. The entire thing. They're going to make it worse. And while the elites, the big corporations, they enjoy the bounty that is socialism. We receive rugged individualism. It's alright for them because, they get money. It only costs them our lives. Anyway, I'm curious what you guys have to think about all these stories. I was really let down by the stimulus bill. I knew it wasn't good. I didn't know it was that bad. So I'm really curious about your thoughts on this. And anyway, I really hope every one of you guys is at home, safe, able to breathe. The only reason why I do this, the reason why I get so angry, is because my fellow American. I don't want anyone to be without what they need, especially when it comes to a situation of medical health. Your I can't think of anything scarier, honestly, than not being able to breathe. If you're gonna give me a death, I'll take a bullet, gunshot, or a car accident. I mean, I think a hit by a train would probably be one of the best. Um, but gasping for breath, man, ugh. So I really truly hope anyone who's listening to this and everyone is fine, they're healthy, they're home, and they're just going crazy because they're bored right now. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. For all of you guys who subscribe and like it, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate you. You guys have a great rest of your weekend.